This presentation is all about using the website, so how to upload your event and resources we have available. So I don't know if you are familiar with heritageweek.ie, but what it is the portal for you uploading your event or project. It has an events trail, which I'll talk about later, and resources as well. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the resources that we have. So in terms of using the site, you can use it to view all National Heritage Week events. As I say, you create your own events, you can access online resources, and you can also obtain the latest information on National Heritage Week. So we'll be publishing posts, blog posts, and things like that. So if you are looking for most up-to-date information, that's where it's going to be. So this is a little bit of a guide of how you get involved in terms of running, organising an event. You click on Get Involved, and you click on Register as an Organiser, and this will bring you to this portal here. So I'm just going to show you how it works in reality. So this is where you start. So if you have not used heritageweek.ie before, when you click on Organise My Event or Submit Your Event, you have to register your own details. And that's literally so you can manage your events and we can see who's linked to what events. So the questions that are asked here is just your name, details, a community group if you're part of a community group or an organisation, and then you have to describe your group or organisation as well. You're also asked to provide your location, a phone number and email address. Now they won't be shared with anyone, they're just for ourselves to contact you in case you're uploading an event and we need to contact you about the upload in case there's something missing or we want to confirm some details with you. In terms of uploading an event, this is the procedure you'll follow. So you need to put in the details of yourself. Now this is the details that will appear on the website as public information. So you can put in your name as the chief organiser, or you can put in the name of the community group. You'll be asked to put in an email address. So this is for public inquiries. So it'll be separate from your private email address. You might put in the section before, but this is so public can reach out to you and contact you about your event. Then you're asked to submit your location as well, so the county. Next part then is the name of the event. Very important here is that you don't say Tour of Field or Tour of St. Mary's Church, because we know there's about 1 million St. Mary's churches in Ireland. So be very specific about what your title is. So in terms of Tour of St. Mary's Church in Fermoy, etc. So make sure you are very detailed there. You can add an image, and it is mandatory this year for everyone to add an image to your submission. And that's for two reasons. One, for the county guides. If your submission is including the county guide, it's always good to have an image there. And it's also for the website as well, so that people can see your event, and it's a lot easier for people to find your event with an image. If you are a grant recipient, you're asked to submit your grant reference number. So if you got a grant from the Heritage Council, you'd be asked to submit that there. And that's so we can track the grants recipients and who submitted an event. So this is an example here of me uploading an image, and this is how it works. Second part then, you're asked to select which part of aspect of heritage your event deals with. So it's built, cultural, or natural heritage. You're then asked about if it's a new event or is an existing ongoing project. So if you're running continuously, if you had it last year or year before, you can select that. And then you're asked to provide an event description. So be very detailed here. Like think about what we discussed earlier today. Valerie mentioned about accessibility and stuff. Supply as much information as you can. Now you are limited to 250 words, so you might have to be concise, but just think about that. Then you're asked to select your event in terms of it's online, indoors, or outdoors. So you just pick the type of location of event. And finally, your event type. So we'll come down to it here, you'll see the video. So you're asked to select what type of event it is. Is it a guided tour? Is it a talk? Is it a live performance, etc. So you just tick whatever's relevant, so you can tick more than one. The next thing you need to enter is your dates. So if you have multiple dates and multiple times, put those in. So you'll see the add button underneath, so I can add a second date, second time, etc. So if you're doing this, if it's continuous over the 10 days, just make sure to put in each day. The next thing you're add is the address of the event. So for a venue, a location, make sure where to put the location is. And again, be specific. The address, put in the address. Area code, we always advise putting the area code now, especially with Google Maps. If people just put in the area code, it'll take them straight to the location. So it's always useful. If you have a link for a booking, so this is related to things like Eventbrite that Pierce mentioned earlier today. So if you have a link, you can paste that in there. So you just copy the link and paste it in there. So that means you can manage the bookings, or people can select to book your event through the Heritage Week website. And then we have a few boxes here to tick in terms of accessibility, in terms of is your event Oscailga, is it suitable for families, etc. And finally, any other details. So for example here, I have bring good walking shoes for our outdoor event, but do add in those details that people might need to know. And if your event is taking place or is linked to either of our theme days that we talked about earlier, so your Wild Child Day or your Water Heritage Day, you can tick those boxes and add them in. So the final details to enter. If you have social media links for your community group, your organization, or for yourself, please paste them in here. And make sure you add in the full URL. So you can see here I didn't add in a URL, I just typed from memory. So you have to add in the HTTP. So the best way to do this is actually go to your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, and just copy the link from there. Copy the address in the address bar and just paste it in here. Final thing then, when you're ready to submit, the whole way through your submission process, you can click on Save Progress. So that means you can save it and come back to it, so you don't have to complete that day. If you're ready to submit then, you'll have to click on the Preview and Submit button. And we'll just see it here. So when I click on Save Progress here, you'll see that you'll get the pop-up if you have any errors in your submission. So I made an error in my image, so I had to scroll back up, and I had to replace the image because the image was too large. I should have mentioned that the image needs to be 500 kilobytes in size, which is quite small. So if you think your standard phone camera photo is about 3 or 4 megabytes, you'll have to compress it. Now we'll provide some guidance on the website for that, but there's loads of free websites like Pic Resizers, and there's other free websites that can shrink your image so you can actually get it in the right size. Once you have your event submitted, you can click here, you click Preview and Submit, and you get to actually a preview of your event, and then when you're ready to submit, you'll click on Submit Approval. Once your event is submitted, you're going to see this, and we say that we aim to approve within 48 hours. We'll try to be a lot quicker than that in terms of it'll be busy periods, it'll be a matter of hours before your event appears on the website. So don't get worried if you hit submission your event and it hasn't appeared straight away. It will take a few hours for us to approve it. We manually approve every event that's on the website. So we look at every event, so just so you know. In terms of projects and online projects, it's generally the exact same process. The only difference is instead of event details, location, address, you're adding URLs. So in terms of if it's a video, you add the links. If it's a website, you add links. And if it's embed, which can be, you can take your embed code from YouTube, whatever. If you're putting your video on YouTube, you can add it in here. And that's the only other difference. In terms of your submissions, so once you have your login and you have access to the website, there's the organizer's portal. And this is where you'll be able to access your events. And if you see in the bottom here, there's your submissions at the bottom, so you'll be able to see what submissions you made. Now they'll all look like your submission is pending, or your event has been submitted. That's the correct text. And if it's been approved, you'll see underneath live link, so you know that the link is live to it. Okay. So the other thing I want to mention then here is resources. So I'm going to go through a few of these here. Oh, sorry, actually, there we'll go through them here. So there's a few resources in terms of, there's technical resources, and then there's other resources in terms of graphics and details. So hopefully this video will play for me. Now, there you go. So I'm just going to show you here now, so it's going to take a few seconds, but in terms of resources, it's all under here on the right-hand side. So developing your event and project, the resources there are links to other sites. We have the 101 Event Ideas Guide, things like that. Then you have technical resources, are more to do with projects in terms of YouTube videos, how to produce a podcast, things like that. And then we've branded resources as well. So if you need any graphics, I think we might come back to them later. Other thing I just mentioned quickly is my events trail. So for yourselves, you probably want to get out during the week and actually see other events. So we have this thing called events trail. So obviously there's nothing here now because we have no events. But you'll be able to scroll through all events and you'll see a little love heart on each event. And you'll be able to hit the love button like you hit favorite on Twitter. And you'll be able to add that to your events trail. And once you do, if you click back on my events trail, you'll have a list of all events that you liked, so basically you want to attend. And then you have the option of printing the event. You can email it or you can share it on social media. So it's very handy if you want to basically produce your own events guide for yourself for the whole week. So say you want to not just stick to events in your own county, but you want to go across multiple counties, you'll be able to use your events trail to do that and be able to print it off. So you can spend one weekend in Galway and one weekend in Dublin, and you'll be able to list your events. You'll have the details, the organizer, the times of start and everything. So you'll be able to use that. Oh yes, so here we come to resources. So this is where I was mentioning, so the events idea guide, the technical resources. So I'll just show you here quickly the developing your events. So this is a list. There's a whole list here of organizations that you can get in touch with that might provide inspiration. So you've got a lot of mentions here today of different organizations, but they're all listed here, so you can just scroll through that. As I said, the technical resources is the technical stuff in terms of it's usually used for podcasts, videos, and they were designed for the last 3 years during COVID, but they're still relevant now, so it might come in handy. And as I said, finally, the branded resources is if you decide to produce printed materials, there's branding here. So in terms of our logos, we've posters, and we've also PowerPoint presentations if you want to use it for PowerPoint, newsletters, things like that. So you might decide to produce different materials for yourself in terms of your National Heritage Week event. And that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you.